Hi there, and welcome to Live with Sujay. I'm always alive and living color, and we're always delighted to have with us some wonderful, wonderful women and men who come to our show. But today we're focusing on a wonderful woman, Dr. Donna Jones. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sujay. It's my honor and privilege to be here to just chat with you a little bit today.
Well, thank you. You are part of history making, and we're just so excited. You're about to retire from a position, I understand. But
Yes.
let's just talk about the journey. You are currently the superintendent of which districts?
So I'm the superintendent currently of the Patchogue-Medford School District.
In Suffolk County.
Suffolk County, New York,
Wow,
yes.
and this show goes all throughout Long Island. So how many, it's about 7,500 students in those districts?
That's correct. In that school district, 7,500, which is definitely on the larger side for school districts in Long Island.
Yes.
So a lot of responsibility for sure.
So an education major, you've been in education in various roles for how many years total now?
Oh, it's 31 years, but very interesting journey, if I can share.
Please share.
Sure. My journey is not a traditional journey to the superintendency. Many of the superintendents have a curriculum background. I ascended to the role having a business background.
Yes.
So I look at my philosophy is that I am in the business of educating students.
I love that. I love that. Yes. So tell us what the background was in business.
Sure. So my first bachelor's is in accounting. So yay, Baruch College.
All right,
I'm
give
a
it
city
up.
girl.
Yes.
And so I went to Baruch. Baruch is one of the greatest schools that you can go to for accounting
Yes.
and for business, even though it is a CUNY school. And so I went there, then got my master's in public administration
Yes.
with an executive program at Baruch. I went to Cornell for labor relations and got a certificate in labor relations. So
Wow.
that's very important component of some of the things that I've
And
done.
working with the unions especially, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I have been a chief negotiator for countless union contracts over the years.
And New York is a union town. You have to know it. Yeah.
For sure.
And where did you receive your EDD?
So I went to St. John's University and I got my ed admin there.
Yes.
So a lot of education along the way, LIU, etc. So I learned over the course of the years about curriculum and instruction, but my initial role was all about the business, the operations, the budget management, the accounting.
Oh my goodness.
The negotiations, all of that.
Wow. Well, thank you for your leadership and for your work for all these years and for what you mean to the students. We have some pictures here, in fact, of you interacting of you on the first day of school with some of the students. So this is with the ROTC. Describe this picture for us.
Sure. So this is every single month we have Board of Education meetings, and you see me here pictured in the orange with my Board of Education members. And there are 7 Board of Education members, and all the way to the right is the student ex officio member of the Board of Education. And we always highlight students and the programs that they're going and doing throughout the school year. And this particular month, we were highlighting the ROTC program. So they were.
Do you see more people signing up, less now these days?
Actually, we are seeing a significant increase, and we just got a recertification from the Air Force saying that our particular program is impeccably executed, and they have recertified us again.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So let's see the next picture. This is a first day of school picture.
Absolutely. These are our beautiful little kindergartners just getting off the bus. And one thing that's very important to me is to connect with my community.
I love it.
So I am out and about on the first day of school, greeting all the children, the parents, the teachers.
And you can feel it. You can feel the warmth right just through the faces and through your body language. You can feel the connection.
Yes.
Which is so important.
It is important. And I love all the children. and I am accustomed to being a one that's connecting with community.
Yes, I love it. Connection and community. And our next photo, oh, this is a graduation.
Yes, yes.
High
So,
school?
yes, this is our high school graduation, and we are to the right of me on the picture is our principal, Dr. Rosilowitz, our high school principal. The board is right behind me, and followed by some of the dignitaries, and we are leading the class of about over 600
Oh my
on the
goodness.
track for our major graduation ceremony.
So when they are crossing the stage, do you feel like they're your children? Like they're hours that we have done something together?
We have, and typically what happens over the course of the year, there's so many challenges, there's so many accomplishments,
Yes.
there's so many ways that I connect. Sometimes it's not the greatest connection. It could be student discipline,
Yes, yes.
and I have to connect with families that way. But whatever the challenges of the year have been, it feels like a culminating moment
That we've overcome.
we've
We've made
overcome,
it.
we've
Yes.
made it, and this, when you look out into the sea
Mm-hmm.
of all of the students and the lives that have been impacted, and you see them making this point and getting
Yes.
across the finish line, it's a good feeling.
I just did a commencement at Champlain College in Burlington, Vermont, and got an honorary doctorate there.
Wow,
But you know, they
congrats.
weren't even my students, but there's just this welled up. You know what it took for them to do this. Many students, I mean, some didn't have tuition, all of the challenges. But this moment, they're so excited, and to see them hug. In that case, you know, sometimes the president of the school or professor who helped them get through was just amazing. And we have one more photo as well. Let's see what that last one. Oh, this is a ribbon cutting. And when was this?
Yes, so this was about a year ago, and we have something called Raider Bean. And one of the things that we have here is some of our children have challenges, and they're classified, they're students with disabilities. And we teach them trades so that they can go out into the real world and have a job.
How wonderful.
Here they have a business where they make cookies.
Yes.
We take them.
I think we've seen them on Channel 12, actually.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. Definitely.
Exactly.
Because there was a member of the church, the local church here, that was part of that scenario. They make cookies and they learn to bake and go into business.
Believe it or not, Dr. Sujay, they raised $40,000, and we are reimagining our homecoming. They
Wow.
make dog biscuits, they make cookies, they make so many things, and we are reimagining our homecoming, utilizing the money
Yes.
that they raised, but also our CTE program.
Yeah,
Through our career and tech ed program,
Yes.
they're rebuilding the floats as part of the curriculum.
Oh, I am loving that. I love that. I picked up a local magazine, I think it was the Express today, that said radical reimagination. That we have to think differently and we can do some things differently. It doesn't have to be, every house doesn't have to look the same any longer.
Exactly, and we're really good at that. One of the things we did in COVID is we reimagined the prom. And the prom was on Main Street. I don't know if you recall, but it was covered on CNN and everything.
Yes, that was, okay, your district?
Yes, that
Oh,
was our
wonderful.
district.
So
Yes.
tell me, what does a superintendent do? Who is a superintendent? What's the definition?
Oh my gosh. I think the quintessential definition is problem solver.
Okay.
The solver of problems,
Okay.
whatever those problems could be. It could be union problems, parent problems, superintendent hearings, curriculum, moving an agenda. What are the superintendent goals and objectives? There's politics.
Oh, wow.
Infused. There are fiscal issues.
So you're the mediator, navigator, transformer, all of the things that make this puzzle kind of come together?
It really, really is that. You have to have a mission, you have to have vision, you have to have goals, you have to have objectives. You have a game plan. You're going to plan your work, you're going to work your plan, but in the midst of that, life is
Life happens.
life is lifing every
Yes,
day.
I love that. Yeah.
It's lifing. So you're dealing with suspensions and things that are happening in the community. A few years ago, we had the most tragic situation where we were on the Easter break.
Yes.
And none of us were, I was in my office. It was the downtime for that week. And one of our fifth graders committed suicide.
Oh my goodness.
And he was a twin, and he committed suicide. And it was being there for the community
Yes,
as
yes.
the community grieved. And there can be those unexpected moments where a tragedy happens or something, a fire,
Yes,
anything that
yes.
affects the community. And you really have to be the person to try to
Bring some healing and some composure and some nurture and put it all together and make it work, actually.
It's all of that, and you can't do that without empathy, compassion,
Exactly.
and creating a culture of caring.
So you can't just write a job description and say looking for superintendent. You have to have those qualities, the integrity, the values, the warmth, the strength, because sometimes it's tough. Not everyone is like for the fortitude,
and
yes.
the resilience,
Yes.
because sometimes you will never please everyone.
Right, right.
But at the end of the day, you have to have a credo. You have to have core values. You have to know that you can sleep at night because you have done right by children.
Exactly.
And it has to be all children. I'm very big on all means all, right?
Yeah,
So
not discriminating, not choosing favorites. You have to do it for all.
that's right. And that requires navigation too, because when politics gets in the way,
Mm-hmm.
I've been honored and privileged to have a seat at a table.
Which is so important.
To
And we want to talk about that as a woman with a seat at the table. What does it take to get the seat? I have this series that I call Get In, Fit In, but then you want to be able to sit in. What does it take to get in the room and then to have a seat at the table?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, my mom always taught me she had this saying, all that you do, do with your might. Things done by half are never done right. And she always told me, give to the world the best that you have, and the best will come back to you. So essentially, I live that, and I've always been offered a seat. Oftentimes, I haven't even, I've been an assistant superintendent. I've managed folks' money for years, their tax rates, and I've always been in the executive sessions.
Which is so important.
So whether I was a treasurer accountant starting my career off, or whether I then moved up the ranks to assistant super or superintendent, I always was in that room.
Yes,
And
yes.
so I was always elevated, and I thank God that, I was able to.
I'm very thankful that you were at the table as well. So I know we don't want to get too political, but in the midst of the climate we're in, you also have to deal with issues like immigration and families that may not be documented. Does it break your heart? I mean, or do you always try to find a way to help?
Yes, and it breaks my heart because we're in the business of educating every child that shows up at our door. Some come up, it's not just immigration issues, it's gender identity issues, it's all of those issues. But at the end of the day, if they show up to be educated, it's my job to make sure that they're fed, that they do have clothes, because sometimes in the winter they don't.
Yes.
That they're fed, they're not hungry, they're well clothed, and they're ready to learn.
Yeah.
And they're safe.
Provided for and protected.
Yes.
That's the key. Yeah, definitely.
So that is my job. And during the time, a very difficult time for me personally in my career, because I've always been very passionate about what I wanted to do. And yes, I did run into death threats. I ran into, being posted on right-wing paraphernalia, social media platforms that I was defying orders by protecting children. And essentially, the sad part of it is I may be doing exactly the same thing as my colleagues, but the number of women of color in superintendent seats in Long Island, and specifically Suffolk,
Yes.
is
It's very, very low. That's why I'm so glad that you're on this show, because I was like, I met a superintendent in Suffolk County. My goodness.
Yeah.
So you protect children, you provide for them. Who protects you?
The good Lord protects me.
Okay.
That's my belief.
And you have a great family. You have 4 lovely daughters, I understand.
I do. I have 4 daughters. My oldest is 39.
Okay.
My youngest is 29, and I have a 34 and a 35 in between. So I have 4 beautiful daughters and 4 grandchildren.
How gorgeous. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
So life balance is very important to me. Wellness and wealth for women is very important for me. How do you make time, and what do you do with the time that you make?
Wow, and it's challenging.
Yes.
And I preach that as well. And sometimes it's hard to preach it and live it. But I love to travel. I love to travel the world. I love spa days when I can have spa, and here I am in the place where there are spas. And you can really unwind.
And I have a retreat for busy professional women every June.
I want to go.
It's called Selah by the Sea, and we go by the sea, and we just take some time to be replenished. I'll email you or text you the information. But I think it's just so important to stop. We have rest stops along the highway, but on this highway of life, we have to have rest stops as well.
And replenishment.
replenishment.
The opportunity to, you can't feed others if you have not fed yourself.
Exactly.
And so I really do try to exercise at least 3 times a week. I love to read. I love the movies. I love to hang out with my family and friends. I love to go out for dinner. And I do philanthropic work.
Let's talk about that. Philanthropic's not a word that we see a lot of, but out here it's a very important word. Tell us about your philanthropic work.
Sure. So I do a lot of work in the church. I have my entire life, but philanthropically, I'm a member of the Links Incorporated. I'm a past president.
Okay.
And so while I was a superintendent during COVID, I served also as the president of a Greater New York chapter of the Links for 4 years.
Oh, so you're a busy bee. Okay. Well, thank you for your service and leadership. It's such an important organization. I used to be a member, but so thankful for that. This is called my formula for all my guests. I say A plus B plus C equals success. What's your A, your B, and C? For your success?
Hard work, determination, and trust in yourself and in God to guide you. And so I have the foundation from my mom and dad. My mom was educated. My dad, humble beginnings. And so I just trust in the way, the foundation they built. And I just live it.
It's almost every woman who has come on the show talks about faith being an important component of their lives as well as family. So it's just really good to hear that you do that. What do you think is your most important contribution that you've made?
Wow. Creating a culture of care.
Ooh. And I like alliteration, so I'm going to take that. I'm a speaker, so I'm going to take those C's. Now say it one more time. Creating a culture.
Or cultivating a culture of care.
That's amazing. And it takes time?
It takes time, it takes understanding, and I think one of the things I have is with a seat at the table
Mm-hmm.
is the ability. Everybody sees me as Dr. Jones,
Mm-hmm.
and and I say I'm Dr. Jones, but don't think for a minute that that doesn't mean I wasn't stopped in a beauty supply store
Yes,
to
yes,
say what or followed in a beauty
yes,
supply store,
yes.
or don't have stories of racism that I experienced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that provides an opportunity to educate.
Yes, it does.
So
A teachable moment, we
it,
call it.
it is a
Yeah.
teachable moment that I can provide, and as a byproduct of that, understanding that my administrators took that and internalized it, and we began to build a movement
Yes, yes.
for what the expectation should be for our children.
Mm,
And now, me retiring, it doesn't leave with me because it's now in the fabric and DNA of the entire
I
district.
love it. I remember there was a superintendent in New Jersey years ago that they did a movie about. If they did a movie about you, what would it be called?
Ooh. Uh, I would say the Black Swan.
Oh, okay, okay. You glide also, don't you? With class.
Yes, that came to me for a number of reasons. We had a recent Greater New York chapter of the Links recently had a luncheon, and the theme was Black Swan.
Right. It was in honor of Dr. Marcella Maxwell, right? Yeah,
Exactly,
who actually helped
exactly.
me become a link, actually.
May she rest in peace.
Yes.
She poured into me so much as an educator herself.
Yes, yes.
But Black Swan, it resonates with me because we were challenged, even as links, with defining what it means to us to be a Black Swan.
Mhm.
And certainly there are so many things that describe a Black Swan. It's rare, it's resilient, it's unique,
Yes.
it's, there's so much. And there's a glory story
Yes.
in having wounds and having survived climbing a ladder as you feel like you're almost going to be
Yes.
thrown off.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's a story there to tell.
Very much so. Stories, plural.
Yes.
There's an author that has a book called The Wounded Healer.
Mm.
And we all have been wounded, but you also bring healing with your wounds.
Yes, because you can't get stuck.
Right.
You can't get stuck in the woe is me, because then God can't use you
Exactly.
for what he has in store. So I have to find a way to take my wounds that I have so many of from my career,
Yes.
and look at those wounds as look at what happened, and look what happened as a byproduct of it.
Exactly. So I say now, not losses, but lessons.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, and how do we go forward from here? Because bitterness and stress has to go somewhere. So if you hold on to that, you get sick, literally and figuratively. So I'm like, how can I vent? How can I get this out of me? So even on the way here today, was a dreary day. It was cold. I was like, I've got to tape 2 shows, right? But I said, let me stop at the why. I have a membership. Let me do what I need to do to get my body and my mind and my spirit all together so I can be whole again. And you have to just kind of push yourself some days. What's hardest for you to do?
I've become very good at the balancing act, and I can make a lot of things happen, but sometimes I just want to be able to sit and read a book,
Yes.
or just sit and do what I plan to do for the day.
Yes.
And that's hard.
It doesn't always happen. I know.
It rarely happens as I
Yes.
want it to. So I am looking forward to a reset and retirement where I'll be able to claim a little bit more control, if you will.
Yes, yes.
of the
Reset and
day.
retirement. My alliteration, I'm loving this. Now, some people say rewire rather than retire. Do you think about some other things you'd like to do, or you want to just rest for a minute?
So I think for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm an energizer bunny.
Yeah.
I've been since I was born. I was always into something and going next level. So I think maybe a little bit of a time just to take a Selah, breathe, a
Yes.
minute to breathe.
Yes.
But I want to have a toe in the water. I know there's ways I can still help the field. There's a shortage of business officials around
Mm-hmm.
Long Island. There's a lot I learned, almost like a case study for how we turn the schools around
Mm-hmm.
to good standing.
Yes.
There's stories about restorative practices and
Yes.
how that can lead to strengthening and reducing student suspensions.
Yes. Yes.
There's a
Yes.
whole
What
lot.
would be an example of a restorative practice? What would be one thing?
Sure. So you could have, let's just say you have two students in the school that got into some conflict and it
Mm-hmm.
led to some physical altercation. So we bring them together, the deans will bring them together. We'll provide them with a piece of paper with some questions to get them to reflect on what transpired, what went wrong, are you willing to have a restorative conversation? Sometimes in the moment, they're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, after they get suspended or we teach a lesson, we get them in the room, we talk to them, we try to get them to a point of understanding what contributed to it, hearing each other out, and saying, what did we learn from this so that this doesn't occur again?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the interesting thing
It's
about
almost
it,
like mediating.
it is mediation.
Okay, yeah, with them to have some time to
Because
really
sometimes
reflect.
I have to do it with teachers, with
Mm-hmm.
administrators.
Sure,
So
sure.
it's not just for students.
Exactly. Well, we are so thankful that you are there, have been there. We're wishing you well in your retirement. We have work for you to do out here in Long Island. We have the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. We have an
Ooh.
event on July 3rd that LTV hosts for us. And we're bringing together thought leaders, business leaders, people who have experience who are willing to still give. So we're just thankful
I
to have
love
met
it.
you. Yeah, so I'm going to be texting you.
Anytime,
All right, and we want to thank
anytime.
you for sharing with us Dr. Donna Jones, superintendent of the Patchogue-Medford
Yes.
School District. She's retiring, 31 years in education, and we are just so delighted to have had her as our guest and so delighted to have had you with us today. Stay tuned for more with Live with Sujay.